So what an insane week it's been thus far for Oklahoma Sooner fans, where you got some bad news, you got some really good news, and luckily today I come bearing gifts of more good news. Today, we need to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners hitting the recruiting trail and getting a big-time win out the state of Florida for four-star interior offensive lineman Eddy Pierre Louis. And given some of the events that have transpired this week, I think it only goes to further why this is such a big pickup. Before we talk about this, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that EPL chose Oklahoma? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content and you don't want to miss any of it. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And as always, who is Eddy Pierre Louis? Well, EPL, as you'll so often hear him referred to as, is a four-star interior offensive lineman out the state of Florida who stands 6'3", 335 pounds. If we look at the 24/7 Sports Composite, he comes in as the number 247 player in the nation, the number 11 interior offensive lineman, and one of the most gifted players in the state of Florida, a state absolutely stacked with talent every single year. And before we really start diving into what it is Oklahoma is getting out of Eddy Pierre Louis, someone who is unbelievably gifted, we need to talk about why this is such a big pickup. And in order to do that, we have to rehash some of the events of the past week, where Cayden Green, someone who looked to be a cornerstone of the OU offensive line as they made the transition from the Big 12 to the SEC, unexpectedly hit the transfer portal. And this didn't just shock OU fans. This shocked college football as a whole. Oklahoma has an offensive line coach in Bill Bedenbaugh that has been unbelievably productive in recruiting guys and sending them to the NFL where they get money. And because of that, it was shocking to see a player like Cayden Green at a place like OU just up and hit the transfer portal, especially when he knew he was going to be the guy on the offensive line. True freshman captain for the Sooners, and all of this made it such a shocking event. But all of that goes to prove why going out and getting a top 15 guy in his position, a top 300 player in the nation in Eddy Pierre Louis, is such a big win for Oklahoma. Because right now, they have to get those wins on the offensive line. This week, we were talking about what will Bill Bedenbaugh, what will Brent Venables do in the transfer portal, on the recruiting trail. How will they make up for this loss? Well, they're already showing you they're going to work real hard to make up for the loss. So what is Oklahoma getting out of EPL? Well, first and foremost, when you turn on the tape, there's something that's going to fly off the screen, and that is his athleticism. Very rarely are you going to see someone 6'3", 330 pounds plus move the way EPL moves. He is a pulling guard through and through, and he has experience at the tackle position at the high school level and as a defensive lineman, giving him that versatility we talk about all the time and giving him the versatility that we know Bill Bedenbaugh loves so much. But one of the things I love is his aggressiveness. This is a guy that's not going to quit until the whistle is blown. And when we're talking about offensive line, that's one of the most compelling factors I have. Yes, there's technique and all that has to be there. Luckily for EPL it is. And luckily you're going to Bill Bedenbaugh. He'll get you right. But your tenacity, your want to, that's something that really can't be taught. Yeah, we can get you a little bit more angry, but either you want to go out there and hit someone or you don't. That's just a baseline thing. And EPL is someone who wants to go out there and make plays. He wants to go out there and get active. He wants to go out there and get violent until the whistle is blown, and then it's right back to business. I love that out of my offensive linemen. We've talked about this time and time again. I want my offensive linemen to engage blocks with a tenacity and a viciousness that makes you sit back in your chair and go, wow, glad I didn't have to play that dude. And luckily, EPL gives you that. Not only in terms of his explosiveness once he gets his hands on you, in terms of his motor. And I, once again, find that to be such a compelling factor, especially at a guard, which is where he looks to transition. Because he's got the athleticism to be a pulling guard, and he's got the tenacity to run someone down in order to be a pulling guard. He is going to give it his all if he thinks he's going to get to level someone at the end of this. This guy is a pancake factory through and through. So for Oklahoma, this is a massive win. And let's be honest, we're going to have a lot of conversations about the offensive line between now and the beginning of the season for the Oklahoma Sooners. Because yes, Bill Bedenbaugh is one of the best, but he has got a tall order in front of him, and being able to address that need on the recruiting trail and in the transfer portal, well, that's going to be paramount, as well as developing the guys you have. Hop down to the comments. Go ahead and let me know who you think we could see on the Oklahoma offensive line going into next season, and we'll be talking about it over the coming weeks. But there is no denying what a big win this is for the Oklahoma Sooners. And before we get out of here, we have got to ask and answer the question, what does this mean for Oklahoma? Well, they sit firmly in the top 10 and actually jump Oregon in terms of the top 10 ranking. For Oklahoma, they are in a phenomenal addition. Their recruiting class is pretty much well done, and with early signing day right around the corner and national signing day quickly approaching, it's not a bad place to be at all with a full recruiting class. So this is something you love to see if you're an Oklahoma fan, a top 10 recruiting class, top 7 recruiting class, and having just jumped Oregon. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.